Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. We have a special guest here today, and she shares the same name as me, which is freaking cool. Welcome, Jess Jacobs. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to sit down and to finally talk to you. You have so much insight to share that I know the audience is going to just love to hear. But I know, your vibe attracts your tribe, and lately I've been surrounding myself with Jesses, and I think you're feeling the same way, so it's just good Jess energy up in here.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And it's so funny because, Jess and I are actually on the Good to Great panel together at Empower Her podcast, and there's another Jess. So it's funny, there's 3 Jesses, but I'm so used to this. This has been my entire life. There was one point in, I think it was middle school, where we had assigned seating, and we were the little square tables, they would push 4 tables together, and there were 3 Jesses there. At the same table. So this is nothing new for me.
Same. I remember my name is Jessica Clark, and there was a girl in my class from all of elementary. Her name was Jessica Clark. If you're listening to this, Jessica Clark, hey, what's up, girl? And my parents would get phone calls all the time. Why isn't Jessica in school today? And they'd panic. They'd come to the school, and it was Jessica Clark, not Jessica Clark. And it would this was my whole elementary. So I get it too. There's always Jessicas. And I don't know why. Why isn't anyone naming their kid Jess anymore?
They're not anymore because the 90s just took over. Jessica was the number one name for years and years and years. So now everybody's over it. So I think
it'll come
maybe
back.
Not the next generation, but maybe the generation after that will probably have a comeback.
It's because we're seeing all those names like Hazel and Ruth, these older generational names. So Jess is going to come back.
I think so. Eventually. Yeah. It's just on a pause. It's all right.
It's a pause. And anybody listen to this, Jess is a great name. Name your babies Jess. Let's get past that because there's so many people listening who are okay, get over yourself, guys.
Got it.
Can you tell us about you, Jess, your story, where you got started, and where you are now in this journey of self-discovery and of business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. So
at the 4 tables with Jess's.
Yes. Yeah, let's go back to that, back in middle school when I was dreaming of being a podcaster. Just kidding. So I am actually a former chiropractor. I spent years and years and years, a ton of money becoming a chiropractor. I was absolutely in love with the field. Truly, it was my passion at one point in my life. I ended up getting into the real world. I had my first job, and I just kind of looked around and I was like, oh my God, why does this not feel good? Because truly I was loving that journey of becoming a chiropractor. And then I got to the real world and I was like, oh my God, this isn't aligned anymore. I need to do something different. And that was really difficult for me because, again, like I said, I truly did love the field, and I was so scared to be in this place of what do I do with my life? I just spent all this time and all this money getting here, and I'm not really that happy because I had this gut feeling, this nagging feeling that was just there is something else out there for you. And my brain always wants to go to there's something more out there for you. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean that my path now is better or anything that's, higher or above the path that I was on before. It just means that I was being called to a path that was more aligned to me as I evolved and changed as a human. So I ended up ultimately leaving chiropractic, which was one of the most challenging experiences in my entire life. I started my first business, Pupsabilities, which started out as an online shop, which was just apparel and pet products. And I gave back 15% of net profits to animals in need, specifically to Save Animal Shelter, which is an amazing no-kill shelter here in New Jersey. So Pupsabilities still has that aspect to it. But like I said before, while we were talking, just before we hit record, Pupsabilities actually evolved into a podcast this year as well, where I have been able to step into this role as truly being an animal advocate and bringing people on my journey of learning how to be kinder to animals and to take small actions each day to not only learn about, the darkness that is going on in this world for them, but also how to make it a more beautiful place for them. During that journey of leaving chiropractic and creating Pupsabilities, I was really lost. Obviously I had gone through this huge career change, which caused a lot of emotional turmoil for me and really put me in a bit of a dark place because it was such a challenging part of my life. And being a new entrepreneur in a field that I had no idea what I was doing, I was super lonely. And I ended up meeting my business bestie, Steph. She has a candle company, Homemade New Jersey Candles. And we started, just hanging out and becoming friends with each other, which is like different because you usually don't make best friendships when you're in your mid to late 20s, right? Like that's not really something that you hear about often. And Steph and I would get into these amazing conversations about entrepreneurship, and we really allowed each other to realize that we weren't alone on our journey. And from that, we ended up creating the Besties and Business podcast, which we do just that. We talk about our entrepreneurial journey, and we just want our community to know that, they're not alone on this journey, and that we're here with them, and that there's a community of people that want to support them and want to be their business besties. And on top of the podcast, we also have hosted 6 networking events here in New Jersey. So it has been a lot of fun. It has been a journey for me, but I really couldn't be happier with where I'm at this point in life and just where I'm going. I feel really positive about everything that's to come.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
I remember seeing you and Steph together too. Like you both look so cute together. It's just like, it makes sense.
Thank you.
When you see you two, like you are biz besties. And I love that so much. I'd love for you to touch on that mourning period that you had of your chiropractic career. And as you're starting this like optimistic and beautiful journey of business, as we know is awesome, but it's also can be really, really dark and really, really scary. So someone listening right now might be in that season that is still dark and they're trying to decide, do I want to still go into business? This is really freaking hard. Or do I want to go back to where it was safe, or go back to getting a job and go back to what was easier for me? Can you talk to them and what you would help them go through to figure out what path is best?
Yeah. So to that person, I know exactly where you are because I have been there. And even though I'm here and I'm speaking in this empowered way about my past, I do still have my moments of that like weak feeling coming up, that sadness, that emotional turmoil. It does hit me here and there. But the difference from then and now is that I am in a much more empowered place. And I truly have gotten to a point where I can accept myself and I can be okay with the fact that I changed my mind. Because when you go your whole life, becoming this one thing, and you put all this time and money into becoming this one thing, or even if you ended up in a career that maybe you didn't put a lot of time and money into, but you've been in it for a while and you feel this loyalty to it, you feel this attachment to your identity around it, it can be really hard to realize that it no longer is right for you, right? Like that brings up so many feelings. I had feelings of fear, obviously, feelings of confusion, of guilt. I thought that I was this stupid human. I truly thought that I was this irresponsible human for, going through all of this schooling and going, spending all this time to get to this one place. So then just be like, I don't really want this anymore. It was really hard for me, as also I was a high achiever my entire life. I'm an Enneagram 3. So that was really tough. So what I would say to that person is just be okay with the fact that you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to evolve. I actually started becoming more okay with this from Empower Her Live last year. Keisha was on stage and she was talking about changing your mind and how it's okay to change your mind, and that we all are supposed to grow and we're all supposed to evolve as humans, and that we're allowed to find peace in that. And that is truly what changed the game for me. So I would just say, really be okay with that, embrace it, and be willing to try new things. You don't have to go and create this whole business like I did. You don't have to do this crazy leap. You can start by working part-time in a field that maybe you have some interest in. You can start with a little side hustle on Etsy. You can start with something that your goal is literally bringing in an extra $100 a week just to dip your toes in and just to start to get to know, what you like and what you don't like. It's a really scary place to be when you feel that way, but it's also a really beautiful place to be because it means that you have this fresh start. You have this opportunity to rewrite your story.
Yeah. Do you ever crack people's backs now?
I still crack my fiance's back, yes, and my family. I do. The skill is still here. And like I said, I still love chiropractic. I have nothing against chiropractic. Like it has always been a field that I'm in love with and I will continue to be in love with. I am still a chiropractic patient on the regular. It's just that the lifestyle, it just wasn't feeling aligned to me anymore. Whereas at one point it truly was aligned to me and I had to listen to that.
Oh, yeah. I was curious. I was like, hey, do you think Jess will crack my back at Empower Her? I'd be like, hey, just one sec. Pause the show. Jess is going to go crack my back.
I love it.
While we're going to throw up because we said we've been really nervous. So,
yep.
Little break over here. Just got to do a little cracking and we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
When did you know that you needed community? When did you realize that you didn't want to do business alone? Was it just when you met your bestie, like when you met your friend and you realized, oh, like this is nice to have? Or did you recognize that it was something that you needed before you got to that?
I think that Steph is truly the reason as to why I realized I needed community. However, on top of that too, part of my story, when I decided to leave chiropractic, I ended up moving to New Jersey. So I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I moved to New Jersey, left my job, started Pupsabilities, moved in with my in-laws, and I was living in this new place with no friends and starting a business and mourning this career that I had left. So it was really a hard time for me. So it's interesting because in those moments, in those really dark moments, I don't think I truly knew it, but I also knew that I missed my friends. I knew that I missed my family. You know, my fiance's family is amazing and I had them around me to support me. But it wasn't until I met Steph that I truly realized that, like, wait, I want friends. I want friends here. And then establishing that friendship with Steph truly allowed me to realize that not only do I want this friendship with her, but I really, truly want this community of support and friendship and love. And for me to have that with them, but also for those friendships to, you know, establish within the community as well.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to make adult friendships? Because as you mentioned, it is really hard. And especially when you get stuck in your ways or you're new in a city, like how does someone go about making a friend?
Yeah. I would say just be open to it, right? Like when we were younger, when we were kids, even, you know, when we were teenagers, we were so open to making friendships. That was like a normal thing. But then there's this weird thing where we all feel like, okay, I have my friends now and that's that. And I have amazing friendships from my childhood, from every point in my life who I love all of them so much. I'm in a bunch of weddings over the next year for people from all different points of my life. It doesn't take away from the friendships that you have had in your past that you continue to have. But what you need to recognize is that as you grow and evolve, your friendships are going to grow and evolve too. So you don't need to get rid of your past friendships, but you need to be open to people that are on a similar path as you, right? So like when I was in chiropractic school, I made some of the best friendships of my life because we were on the same path together. We were working to become the same thing. We all had the same values, right? And those friendships still last throughout my life. But now as I've taken a step away from chiropractic and I'm more into this entrepreneurial world and this animal advocacy world, there's something so fulfilling and satisfying with making friendships with people that are on, the same wavelength as you, right? Like Jess and I, we're able to connect on a different level than I can with my best friend that I grew up with, but that doesn't take away from my friendship that I have with her, right? So I would say just really put yourself out there and be okay with, you know, maybe getting to know someone, realizing maybe this isn't the perfectly aligned friendship with me. Just put yourself out there and be okay with it and be okay with yourself and be okay with the fact that you are open to making new friendships. I've made some of the best friendships over the last year on social media, like truly.
Yeah, internet besties, right?
Yes.
It feels good. We did kind of meet from a distance, but I don't think we physically talk to each other.
Yeah.
So we've been in the same room, but this will be the first time that we're actually meeting. So it would be internet friendships. Like that's where we met, online.
Exactly.
And I think that that's really like a fun way of doing it because you can really like get a vibe for people and be like, do I like you? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. And then you can strike a friendship up from that. And
It's true.
It's been really hard. Yeah.
We've connected because we were selected for this panel together, right? And then like we've gotten to know each other a little bit more on the Instagram DMs. And it's like, wait a second, we're really like-minded. Like I like this girl. Let's like keep getting to know each other and chatting. And it's just, if you let things happen organically, and if you're just open to the possibilities of friendships, why should it be different making friendships in your late 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s? Why should it be different from when we were younger and when we were so open to having friendships? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like you're at the playground. I love when my nephews do this. I see them and they just like go up and talk to a stranger. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, strangers.
Yeah.
But like really being open. And it doesn't have to mean like talking to strangers in the grocery line, although that's a great way to make friends if you want. But like there are other ways to do it that feel safer for you. And I love just the concept of being open, Jess. And
yeah,
so beautiful. I would also love to really talk about the voice that you have for animals. I am a big animal lover too. I have a dog and 2 cats. They're the coolest. And sometimes I say they're my only friends, but like, okay, I'll be real. Like I have other friends. And can you talk a bit about what got you in that direction of being a voice for the voiceless when it comes to animals?
Absolutely, 100%. So when I was considering leaving chiropractic, I knew that I wanted to jump into entrepreneurship. I just knew that I wanted that freedom of creating my own business and just being able to do what I want to do on my terms. And when I really started thinking about like what would make me the most fulfilled, what would make me the happiest, what kept coming to my mind was helping animals. And with that said, I grew up in a house with multiple animals. There were rescues, there were stray cats that were taken in from outside. I grew up, my friends would always joke around that it was like the Jacobs farm and it was a suburban house on Long Island, like definitely not a farm. And, at one point there were literally 4 dogs and 2 cats living in the house. So I grew up just surrounded by animals. I've always been an animal lover. And then my dog Chewy made me a dog mom in 2019, and he truly just changed my life. Like, as I said before, I was this high achieving person. I was going from one goal to the next, just a typical Enneagram 3. I was on autopilot. And I remember he was a puppy and I was walking him through our town and he stopped and smelled every single flower. I share this story all the time because I remember I was like trying to rush him a little bit. Like I was like, I have to get to clinic. I have to like do this, and this. Like, come on, Chewy, let's go. But he was this cute little fluffy puppy and he was just stopping and smelling every single flower. And I was like, oh my goodness, this dog is literally stopping and he's smelling the flowers. Like that's a saying, but he's doing it. And I always share that story because Chewy truly changed my life. And I think that he's a huge reason of why I opened myself up to this. So at the end of the day, Chewy truly is my motivation with Pupsabilities. He's not a rescue, but he also didn't come from a breeder. He was part of an accidental pregnancy, and then I was able to get him as a puppy. And his story means a lot to me because he could have been an animal that ended up in a horrible situation. He could have been an animal that ended up in a shelter. He could have been an animal that ended up on the streets, right? But he ended up in a situation where he was safe and he had a family that he loved. So that is what ultimately led me to starting Pupsabilities. But then this year, deciding to start the Pupsabilities podcast, I think this has been the first time in my life that I am truly becoming an animal advocate, whereas I was an animal lover that advocated for them. Now I really feel like I am fully stepping into that role. So while Chewy really led me into this direction, the podcasting journey is truly what has opened up my eyes because now, I have to stay consistent and come out with 2 episodes per week. And I want to do the best that I can with each episode to spread kindness and love to animals. And with that, I'm also opening up my eyes to a lot of the darkness that goes on in this world. And that has truly been challenging me in so many ways, as you can imagine. And it's truly just making me realize how needed it is for animal lovers to really make that shift from being that animal lover that advocates for them to truly stepping into being their voice and truly being their advocate.
Yeah. Chewy's freaking cute too.
Thank you.
And I love that story of him just like smelling the flowers. My dog does the same and sometimes is really, really slow. And I'm just like, can you please hurry up? And now she doesn't want to go on the walk that I used to go on every day because I rushed her too many times. So now she like now we have to go the other way. And I'm trying to be a lot slower with it because she deserves a good walk with some good sniffing too. And I'm right there with you. So down,
I will say though, give yourself grace there because we are human and it is easy to get into our brains of like, hey, I got to do this. I got to do that. Like even this morning I was walking Chewy and I was like, I got to get back. I want to get a workout in. I want to shower and like all that before I hop on this call. But I had to take a step back and be like, this is Chewy's time. Like, this is really his time to smell everything and to do, what he needs to do and to enjoy this. It's mentally stimulating for him. It's physically amazing for him. But also give yourself grace if you do get into those moments of getting a little frustrated. But it is important to catch yourself in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember telling my husband too, because he would she's slow. I told you she's pretty lazy. She's a cat sometimes. She's really fast. Like if you throw the ball, she can go. But on a walk, she just kind of like, I'm doing my own thing. And my husband would like pull her along too, because he's like, hey, we got to go. And I told him like, it's mentally stimulating for them. She'll actually be more tired if you let her sniff. And then now he lets her sniff quite a bit. So it's about learning, right? We've never had a dog before, Polly. So it's all about learning.
It's a journey.
Yeah. How can someone become more of that voice, that unheard voice for not only their pets that they have in their home, but for animals in general?
Sure. So obviously the animal world is a beautiful place. And then it's also a very dark place because there are these really horrifying realities that go on in shelters, right? And it's not to blame the shelters, but it's because of issues that happen outside of it, right? There is, illegal breeding, there is dog fighting, there are stray dogs. There's a huge stray dog problem throughout Puerto Rico and in other countries. There is this huge problem of animal testing where it's not just like people think that it's just mice and rats being tested on. It's also dogs and cats and other animals. There are all these really dark areas in this world that I am truly discovering. And I start by saying that because I want to acknowledge that, because that is the reality here. And as animal lovers, we truly care for them, right? Like if you're an animal lover, you care for them. You don't want to hear about these things that are disturbing and that upset you. But what I have learned over the last few months is that it is so important that we do. And with that said, while it's not easy, and while there are going to be moments where you literally want to wrap yourself up in a blanket and give up on this advocacy journey and you want to pretend like nothing's happening, you have to let yourself feel those feelings and stay wrapped in the blanket for that moment. Because if you push it away, that doesn't do anything for you. That doesn't do anything for the animals. But it is so important that we all just start opening up our eyes to it, even if that means just reading one article a day about animal testing or listening to one Pupsabilities podcast every couple of days, right? I actually did a live with our friend Kelly Bluth yesterday about this. And she was saying to me, she's like, the Besties and Business podcast, like I'm able to binge through, like I'm able to listen to that. She's like, but the Pupsabilities podcast, I'm getting through it more slowly. And I was like, that makes sense, because what you're listening to is not always easy. It's a very difficult area to start to dive into, but it is so needed. And what I have really been, thinking about lately is that while it hurts us to acknowledge these things, it is nothing in comparison to what these animals go through on a daily basis, right? So they need us to step up. And, through this Pupsabilities podcast journey, like I truly want to be someone that can be there for anyone that hears this, that wants to start to become more of an advocate. My DMs are always open over on Pupsabilities to talk about this, to really, support one another through this. Not only do I have episodes come out about educational stuff, but also episodes of just like, hey, like this has been really hard for me. This is how I'm feeling. So you're not alone. Know that you're not alone. I would just say that first step, if you feel called to it, is I'm here to help you. I'm here to come on this journey with you. And truly, like, I want you to support me right back, because I think that that's how we can truly change this world for animals and truly start to become their voice, right? It's one thing if one person is a voice for them, but if we all come together and really speak up for them and make changes in our lives for them, imagine what we can change together.
Yeah, for the sweet baby animals.
Yeah.
I think what really opened my eyes up to animal rights and just animals in general was when we were living in Barbados, and you mentioned Puerto Rico. It's like this in most of the Caribbean islands. The dogs everywhere, the cats everywhere. And it wasn't until we got our dog, we got her in Barbados, and she was just on the streets. And so I was like, oh, she'll get adopted, because I'm from Canada. Dogs typically get adopted. Like people in the pandemic, everybody wanted a dog. And I took all these cute pictures of her. I was like, don't even worry. Like she's going to get adopted. We're not taking her home. And it makes me so sad to even think about. Nobody wanted her.
Wow.
Nobody in Barbados wanted these beautiful dogs. There's so many dogs down there, and they're so freaking cute, even to the point where they sent 200 dogs to Canada in the pandemic. All those dogs got adopted, no problem in Canada. Like we want your dogs. But in Barbados, it was just like, they can't afford it, and they didn't want them, and they teach them for dog fighting. They teach them for protection. You have to walk with a stick down there because a dog might attack you. Like they just don't have that same love for animals that we have. And that's what really opened my eyes to this world that you're starting to open people's eyes to. So if there was something that you could really share right now that would open people's eyes to the seriousness of this situation, even if it might like break the glass and someone might get really uncomfortable with it today, what would that be?
I would say that it starts with acknowledging it. Like I said before, it starts with truly acknowledging it and opening up your eyes. And there's so much darkness, and there are so many different areas of darkness in the animal world. It could take hours for us, days, to talk about all of the areas. So the first step would be acknowledging it. The second step, I would say, is to truly just be okay with feeling those negative feelings. And what's really coming to my heart that I want to share is really just this area of animal testing. It's something that I am still learning about, but the one thing that is really coming to my heart that I want to share is the moment that really woke me up to this reality. I went my whole life as an animal lover, like I said, but I had these blinders on where I was like, I'm just not going to look at this because it hurts me and it makes me sad. And I just want to ignore this. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you are like that. And if you are doing that, it's a wake up call that we have to change that, because it starts with the way we think about them. It starts with the way we treat them. Right. So the moment that really started opening up my eyes to the true reality of the animal testing world is there is this amazing organization called Beagle Freedom Project, and they are really doing the hands-on work in this world to get these animals out of laboratories. And they shared a post that was all about why beagles are the chosen breed for animal testing out of like any dog breed. And some of the reasons were that beagles are kind, they're loving, they don't bite, they're easily forgiving, they're gentle. And when I was reading that, I was like, so all of those beautiful attributes that are being described that make an amazing companion, that make an amazing animal that's truly unconditionally loving, that they don't bite and they're easily forgiving, that's the reason that they're chosen to live in cages their whole life and never see the sky unless if they're being transported from one area of the laboratory to another. You know, other than that, they're being tested on, they're putting through painful treatments. Like, that is what truly opened up my eyes to it. And I did record an entire Pupsabilities podcast episode about it, like 20 minutes after I read that post. So I could definitely share that episode with you, Jess, if you want to share with your community at all. But it was just a moment for me that was like, this hurts me so much to read this. And I was literally crying my eyes out, ready to spiral. And that moment made me understand that the way that I feel is nothing compared to the nightmare that those beagles and other animals are living every single day. So just be willing to open up your eyes to it. Be willing to feel those negative feelings, because the animals need us to.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Breaks your heart to, I just like to picture them and to think about it. And I love that you're opening people's eyes to this, because you're right. Like, my heartbreak is an emotion and it's a feeling.
Yeah.
But like, they're going through way more, and it just breaks my heart. So if someone were wanting to support you and to support the causes that you are helping, whether that's they're in Canada, whether anywhere in the world, because there's people from all over the world who listen to this podcast, where would they go to be able to support some of these causes that could help make a big difference?
Sure. So just starting with Pupsabilities, the Pupsabilities podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It is all over the place. You can head over to my Instagram at Pupsabilities. My link in bio has all the information, not only for my website, but also for the podcast. So really with what I'm doing through Pupsabilities is I am trying to bring light and bring awareness to all of these amazing organizations. Beagle Freedom Project is an absolutely amazing organization that I absolutely admire and want to support through and through. Their Instagram is at Beagle Freedom. I am not positive of their website, but I know that it's at the link in their bio. They're an amazing nonprofit. You could donate to them. They also have a partnering company called Cruelty, who tries to bring awareness to the brands that are testing on animals versus the brands that are not. And really just, they want to assist us in really becoming cruelty free, and so that we all can be knowledgeable and make these changes, because it starts with us. It starts with the products that we purchase. If we start deciding to not buy products that have been tested on animals, supply and demand, right? Like, speak with your money. We can start, supporting these brands that are not testing on animals. Another amazing organization is the Sado Project. They are actually boots on the ground in Puerto Rico. There's a huge problem down there. Actually, my friend Jess Collins opened up my eyes to it during a Pupsabilities podcast interview. She owns an amazing company called Collins Cookies and Cakes that gives back part of their proceeds to the Sado Project. So they're absolutely amazing. Save Animal Shelter, the shelter that I donate to through Pupsabilities, they are here in Skillman, New Jersey, which is in the Princeton area, if you're familiar. They're a no-kill shelter. I have been there volunteering so many times. I've gotten to know many of the people that work there, and they are just absolutely amazing and truly care for the animals in such a beautiful way. So those are some of my absolute favorite organizations to support. Also, Pilots to the Rescue. I absolutely love them. They are a bunch of volunteer pilots that fly across the country. So say there's, a dog in Kansas that is on the euthanasia list that needs to get to New Jersey because there's a shelter here that has room for them. They have volunteer pilots fly around the country and get animals to their safety. So they're an absolutely amazing organization as well.
Oh, wow. That is amazing, Jess. You'll share all that information with me so I can put it in the show notes. So if anybody's listening to this and they're just feeling called to help in some way, even if it's a really, really small way, check out all of these amazing organizations that Jess is talking about. And also check out the Pupsabilities podcast and just listen to it and become aware of what's happening in the world when it comes to animal rights and everything. So amazing. Thank you, Jess, for sharing all of that with us. Let's shift the conversation a little bit.
Sure.
Shake it up a little.
Let's do it.
Talk about Empower Her. That's coming up in September in Denver, Colorado. So September 22nd to 24th. Are you excited?
I'm so excited, Jess. But also, like we said before we hit record, I'm also super nervous because I'm human.
Yes. It's like, there's like that, like, I'm really excited. It's going to be so much fun. All my girlfriends are there. It's going to be like such a good time. But then also Jess and I are sitting on the Good to Great panel, which is a panel talking about our stories and what we've gone through and how we've taken our life from something really good to something really great and how we did that. And we might throw up.
Yeah, we might. But you know what? It's all for good reason because it's growth, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I've never done anything like this before in terms of that many people, like hundreds of women listening to us while we're on stage. I've never done that before. So there is that like growing pain aspect. And I think that's where the nerves are coming from. But for the most part, it really is excitement and just like gratitude for this opportunity to not only be on a stage, but also this opportunity to impact all of these women in the room, right?
Yeah. I love how you look at it and how you reframe it from the fear to like what it is. And I've just been really trying to work on like getting my emotions in check because I'm a very emotional person, and just like getting even the story in check. Like, what do I want to share? What do I want? I know it's going to change in the moment, but I like to like think I'm prepared.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's like, it's even just that like introducing yourself, right? Like I introduced myself earlier in the episode, and it's so funny because it should be the easiest thing to answer, but sometimes it's the most difficult because it's the one that you can plan for. Like, I think I actually do better like when you just throw random questions at me.
Same.
Right?
Yeah. And I think it's because, and this might be totally wrong, but I do think it's because society told us as women, like, not to be too proud, not to share too loudly, not to share about yourself. Oh, like sit in the corner and be quiet. And now we are challenging that and challenging what we've been taught our whole lives. And they're just like, celebrate yourself, toot your horn, be excited. Come on, girl.
For sure.
And it's really hard. It's like a hard one to shake off. Even if someone says like, what's new? And I'm like, nothing. Meanwhile, it's like, okay,
no,
like,
I know
you hit all these crazy accolades in your business, but like nothing's new. Like, come on. But we'll be doing that on a stage in front of people. And if we can stand up and do that, like other people are going to feel like they can too and start to share about their story. So I as uncomfortable as it feels, again, kind of like learning about animal rights, as comfortable as it is, like I got to do it. And we're going to do it. The Jess panel is going to happen.
Yes, the three of us. My goodness. But yeah, I love how you said that about how just as women, like we're taught to like kind of like to dim our light, right? Like don't sound cocky, don't sound conceited. Like really just we were taught that way, whereas I feel men were not, you know? And it's interesting that you brought that up because now it's bringing up in me, like I have made a few posts about, you know, being on this panel. And I like write out the captions or, you know, yesterday I recorded a podcast episode about, you know, my transition from chiropractic to entrepreneurship and this panel and all of that. And I felt really good when I was recording the podcast, and I felt really good when I was writing out the captions for the posts that I have made about this. But then it's so interesting because then like 45 minutes later, when I'm just like doing my thing and I'm like, like making a smoothie or whatever, I'll have this little voice in my head be like, did you sound cocky when you said that? Did you sound conceited? Do you sound like this, and that? When meanwhile, I'm a super humble person, but I also can be really proud of the progress that I have made, right? Like that Jess from 2 years ago that left chiropractic, if she knew that I was on a panel to speak about it, like she would be so freaking proud of me and also really shocked.
Yeah. She'd be like, what did you do?
Right. So we should be able to celebrate ourselves for what we deserve,
Yeah. It's going to be a really interesting experience this time, because I told you too before we've chatted, and it's like I was really anxious going to this event last time just based on like meeting people who I've only really met online, or like meeting new people, or having to do that introduction even just in conversation, like, hey, who are you and what do you do? And you're just like, oh gosh.
Right.
I'm not nervous for that because I took that step last time. But I'm nervous for this new step that's going to be sharing that on a wider scale on a stage. So it's like always having that like level up moment,
Absolutely. It's like I said before, it's growing pains. And I forget exactly what it is, but I've heard entrepreneurs talk about the fact that fear and excitement are like almost one and the same. And you have this choice where you can either choose to feel the fear or you can choose the excitement, right? So like what I've been trying to do is like, all right, the fear is going to be there, but I'm going to do this anyway, feel the fear and do it anyway, and really step into that excitement and step into like the impact that I can create in that room. If I can inspire one person in that room to leave the job that they don't feel fulfilled in, like that's amazing,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And also I can just picture us like right before like getting hyped up and getting ready and just having fun with it. Like the whole point of this event is about like having fun and learning about yourself and getting uncomfortable. So like I'm just going to lean into that like having fun piece of it and make it just the most fun weekend ever.
I love it. I love it. Jess, I'm going to hold you to that. We're going to make sure that we put fun into this 100%. We're going to, anytime like we're feeling fear, we'll be like, all right, feel the fear for a second, but all right, how are we going to have fun now?
What if we got like Nerf guns and like we could shoot them at each other when like we're like, hey, Jess, wake up, have some freaking fun.
Exactly. You're feeling fear?
Yeah. I'll know where you're sitting and I'm going to point the gun in that direction and get you. So I can't freaking wait.
We might get yelled at, but it's fine.
Who's going to yell at us?
I'm just kidding.
Somebody might. It's okay.
They might.
I have a few questions that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. But actually, before I get to these questions, can you tell our listeners where they can connect with you online, where they can find you, and if they're in the New Jersey area, where they can find some of your events?
Sure. Yeah. So my personal Instagram account is Hey, I'm Jess Jacobs, because there's a million Jess Jacobs out there. So I had to put the Hey, I'm Jess Jacobs in there. So you can go over there, connect with me. The link in my bio has everything that I'm up to. You can head over to Besties and Business Instagram account at besties_and_business. Also link in the bio, everything that we're doing there. And like I said before with Pupsabilities, it's at Pupsabilities on Instagram, and the website is pupsabilities.com. So for Besties in Business, we have some events that we are in the works of planning. We have not announced them yet, but keep an eye out because within the next few weeks, we will be announcing our next event. But we have a bunch of really amazing ideas. Like I said, we have hosted 6 events in the past year. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So definitely keep an eye out. We absolutely love meeting new entrepreneurs that we've never met before, bringing them into the community. We truly have such amazing women that show up to these events. So we would love to see you there.
Amazing. You make me want to get in my car and drive down to New Jersey.
Yes.
It's not that far. I could do it.
We have not announced this event yet, but we do have an event coming up later this year. And we have a bestie named Jen who is actually coming to Empower Her this year. And she lives in California. And she told us last year that she had a goal to get to a Besties in Business event this year. And she decided that she was going to reach out to us and if we can like just give her like the little in of like what the dates are going to be. So as soon as we knew the date for this event, we told her, and she booked her ticket from California to New Jersey, booked her Airbnb. So that was like one of the coolest things ever because we love her. She is just so amazing. So to have her at an event later this year, she's going from the West Coast to the East Coast. It's just absolutely mind blowing.
Oh, that's so cool. Is she the one who does the wax melts?
Yes, she's Bunny Last Melt, and she also just created a business called Mending Creatively. So basically, like, she wants to have people reconnect with that love of their hobbies, right? Because like we all had these like hobbies when we were growing up where we just like let go of them because like we weren't good enough or we weren't going to make money from them. So she wants to really like bring people back into that mindset of really connecting with their hobbies.
I love that. She was in my breakout room when we did our meet and mingle. So I was like,
oh, nice.
She mentioned that she knew you. And I was like, no, Jess too.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So cool. So let's get into our questions that we ask every guest. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. What is your favorite compliment to receive?
Ooh, that I'm kind.
Oh, yeah, you are kind. Like, you are a warm hug.
Thank you.
It's so nice. What is your favorite thing to boost your mood when you're feeling grumpy?
Going for a walk.
Same. With or without your dog?
With my dog.
Okay. No judgment. I was going to say, if you said without, I wouldn't judge you. Because you can sometimes go a little faster without them.
Actually, Chewy is a speed walker. Sometimes it's a problem.
Interesting.
Sometimes I have problems keeping up with him. We have had people make comments on our walks like, are you guys on a run? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, he's just a really fast walker. So
and he's so tiny.
Yeah, but he's really speedy.
That's amazing. Mine is not. She's slow. Do you have a song or a quote that boosts your confidence?
I love the quote, create what you wish existed in this world, because I think it's just like, anyone can relate to that, right? Like whether you're an entrepreneur or not, create what you wish existed in this world, whether it's your mindset, your business, your relationships, the life that you have. That quote forever is something that just always inspires me.
Oh, that's such a good one. Thank you so much, Jess, for being here and for sharing your truth and to sharing what you're passionate about. It's been such a gift.
No, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun getting to know you even more. And now it's so cool. We're going to be able to like listen back to this and everything. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to connect with all the amazing ladies in your community. I always just love meeting new friends and getting to connect with like-minded people. And I really just had so much fun chatting with you.
Yeah. And now we'll get to do this in real life really soon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Yay.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.